Welcome to the Life of Leisure Show. I'm your host, Nick Leisure, alongside with my co-host, Anthony V.
Yes, yes.
The Queen of Sax Soul, Carla Fleming.
How you doing?
And the always hilarious Demetrius, a.k.a. The Specialist.
Okay.
Keeping us moving is producer Kelly Kells and Tony C.
Hey.
Shout out to Alan's our editor. Big shout out to our Casa Mexico Tequila, our official drink sponsor for the show. You see the bottles. It is what it is. It's dope. It's good stuff. Tonight's guest is a former lightweight UFC fighter, one of many talented athletes from the Team Alpha Male camp, Danny Last Call Castillo. What up, Danny? Thanks for joining us tonight, man.
Thanks for having me.
Last Call, man. So I read somewhere that that nickname came from college wrestling because you used to come in with like a hangover and you were drinking all night the night before or something like that.
Yeah, I used to be.
Make way you drink.
I used to be that guy. There was a specific night at the college I went to. We used to go bowling every Thursday, and it was 50-cent beers. So when they called last call, I'd buy $10 worth of beers.
So you just come in like blasted the next morning.
Yeah. I mean, 15 minutes to last call of the closing, get 15, $20 worth of drinks. They were Keystone beers, but I mean, you get a bunch of beers and then you drink them. And our coach was pretty strict, so he knew that the team liked to party. So we'd have 6 a.m. runs every Friday morning.
So you was sweating alcohol the next morning.
Yeah. So it was just kind of like, I would be able to, because I like to run a little bit, and I think it's just mainly a mentality.
Everybody behind you was getting intoxicated.
You could just be drunk. I mean, but if you have a strong will,
You're fighting through it. That's how you got your fighting spirit to go through it. Huh?
I think so. You just push through it, and everything else is just, once you put all that other stuff, the hangover, or I was more than likely still drunk at that time. So just be able to do it, and then that's where the name came. And then, fast forward, I decided to start fighting, and it just went well with my last name. So
I remember we used to be at little house parties because you used to live like a block away from me when you was with Mike and them.
Yeah.
And there was some crazy little house parties over there, man. I don't know if I'll get you in trouble if I say anything, but I remember you walking around with like your schlong out and stuff, and girls going like, what the hell's going on? Like
that might have happened.
Once. And we was like, we're all drinking. We're like, what is Danny doing?
It was hot.
It was hot. It was too much tequila going on.
Wild. I grew up wild. I had wild friends.
Yeah, definitely. So, professional debut started in 2007.
Yes.
What decision? Why did you make that decision? Like, what made you decide to just go? You know what? I want to be a fighter. Because it was kind of late, in the game for you as a fighter, right? You didn't start.
You can't really start when you're 28, and that's what I did. I started when I was 28 years old, and no one really does that. But after college wrestling, I didn't have the result I wanted. I ended up being the runner-up at the NAIA Nationals, and I was a 2-time All-American. It just didn't really sit well with me because in the final match, bad call, lost by a point, and it just kind of messed with me. I didn't even really finish the semester. I just kind of started partying and being depressed and didn't know what was next because that was my last college match. And there's no NBA for college wrestling. The only thing that there is out there is fighting, and that's something I didn't really picture for me for a career. It's like fighting, probably that's just crazy. But I did grow up watching. Every Hispanic grows up watching boxing as a kid. It's a big thing. Barbecue, Julio Cesar Chavez, Oscar De La Hoya were just kind of like my role models growing up. And although I didn't fight, I still wrestled, and it was still part of it. So after college, I had to get a job because they weren't paying for school anymore. So I had another semester left, and I didn't know what to do. I got a desk job, made up some kind of bullshit. You can cuss on here, right?
Yeah, you
Say
can
bullshit.
say, you can cuss, you can drink, you can smoke weed, you can do whatever you want on this fucking show.
Bitch, what he asked us now?
Shit. Made a kind of fake resume and got a job in sales and marketing. And, something I never pictured doing. This little bit of cold calling. I was not the best at it, but I started to find my groove. I was able to, make enough money for the company to keep me. And then it started to do well, and then I started to get better at it, and I had full commission, salary, 401k, full dental vision, all that good stuff. And then I was just not really.
Still wasn't happy.
Still wasn't happy. I was making decent money back then. It was 2006. I was making like $50,000-$60,000, but it was in the Bay Area, so it wasn't really that much money, And so I was just kind of, even though I was making a ton of commission, I was just, going to the bars and partying and just kind of, I wasn't on track. And then.
So what was the moment that you said, you know what, I want to be a fighter? Were you watching a fight, or were you?
It's Uriah Faber and I were. Uriah Faber's a, really famous world champion.
Mm-hmm.
He pretty much paved the way for all the lightweight fighters, and if there shouldn't be a lightweight fighter that doesn't show respect to Uriah. He's the fastest guy.
Shout out to the California kid,
Uriah.
We got to get Uriah
What
out
up,
here
Uriah?
too.
Yeah, there's he's been the fastest fighter to be nominated to the UFC Hall of Fame. He retired, and then 4 months later, he was in the Hall of Fame. They put him in the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
But so he used to be one of my good friends, and we were on the same all-star teams wrestling as kids. He was from Lincoln. I went to Laguna Creek High School, so every year, if you were good enough, you'd make the team, and then you'd be on the Sacramento Area Wrestling Association all-star team. And we would just drive up and down California wrestling other all-star teams. And he was doing so well, I lost contact with him in college. We were both wrestling camp counselors at a wrestling camp, so we still connected. I went to NAIA school. He went to Davis. Working the desk job, I'm sitting at the computer, and I made my commission for the month, so then I would probably pretty much not do anything, because my money was there. My money was good. I wouldn't worry about anything. Didn't have to do anything except show up, and I would show up hungover all the time. And and then I just jump on MySpace. So this is how long ago. This is how long ago.
Dang, you aged yourself, bro.
Yeah, this is how long it was. Yeah, it was MySpace. I was kind of just giving him crap because he's short. He was in a picture with a couple tall guys, and I was just like giving him a hard time, saying, "Looks like you grew a little bit. You look tall." And it was a total joke, and we connected. And he's like, "Hey man, you should just come back to Sacramento." He had just won his world title on TV. Back then, there was an organization called the WEC, and it was super big for the lightweight fighters. And so I came back and visit home because I'm from Sacramento. I was living in Palo Alto at the time. Came to saw my mom and saw his gym. He had a sick gym on 17th and I Street, Ultimate Fitness. And then after that, we went to his house, and he had 3 houses on a block. Like, he bought 3 houses, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I got this all from fighting, and it's not really anything different than what we did in college." And he's like, "You're a great wrestler. You have the great mentality." I was like, "I know you do well. You should do it."
So I didn't know that you guys were actually like teammates in college doing that.
Well, we weren't teammates in college. It was in high school. We were on the same
high school,
all-star
okay.
team together.
Okay.
But I would see him every tournament. When you're the best guys in the area, you know who the best guys in the area, and you connect and you vibe more so than not. And so he's like, "Yeah, you should do it." And I'm like, "I don't know about that." They brought a consultant and changed my commission scale. So for being a good account manager, they were gonna up my salary but lessen my commission on pre-existing business. So basically they wanted me to go out and get more business, which I probably should have been doing, but I earned those accounts and I monitored those accounts, and those accounts were doing money. Like, don't
fuck with me.
Yeah, don't chastise me because I'm doing a good job and I'm not,
So you're like, "Fucking, I'm gonna choke you guys out and get out of here." Right?
It kind of came to terms a little bit like that, but I would never do something like that. My mom she was just like, "I think you should do it." I think she's one of my biggest fans. She would go everywhere. She's been all over the planet. I wrestled and fought in different countries, and she's always been there. And she was like, "If you're gonna do it, you should do it. You're 28. You're not getting any younger." So I put my 2 weeks notice, ended up staying 4 weeks, and then packed my apartment, moved back to Sacramento. And
Was there like a specific fighter you looked up to in the UFC, or was it Uriah that you kind of?
I really liked BJ Penn back then. I thought BJ Penn was because he wasn't like, he was just down to fight, and I like guys like that are just like, whatever, we could just fight, because that's the way I was a kid. I wasn't really a hothead, but like, oh, I guess we're just gonna fight. We just fight, and then afterwards it's over with, and that's the way like I feel like it should be. No animosity. You guys just fight, you get it over with, and then it's done. You know, if you don't like each other, you guys fight again.
Let's go have a beer.
Yeah. You know, I mean, eventually you're gonna respect that person if he's gonna sit there and be able to fight you a couple times, win or lose or draw. You know, so back then I guess it was just BJ Penn because he didn't look like a big fighter. You know, he's just like a regular dude.
Looked like
like
he's drinking beer all
that
day.
dude, that dude drinks beers and he
body.
chills at the beach,
Yeah.
surfs and he fights. Like I can respect
And
that.
he's badass too.
And he's badass.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the history. When I moved here from the Bay Area, I didn't really have a car, so I would take the bus from 43rd. I lived with a couple of friends all the way downtown. It would take me like an hour and 20 minutes because ton of stops all the way downtown.
So you just made that decision, like, I'm gonna be a fighter, and that was the end. Because I remember in the beginning when you first started training, and I'd see you at the gym and stuff like that, and it was even a point where I remember seeing that was like your birthday on Facebook, and you know I lived a block away from him, and so I was like driving. I'm like, oh, there's Danny. He's out here jogging in the morning. It's like, and it was his birthday, and I'm like, man. Like, he was dedicated to really make this happen. Like, because on my birthday, I'm like, fuck that. I'm chilling. I'm not out there running.
Buying $10 worth of 50-cent beers.
Yeah, I think he was like out in, I think it was close to Greenhaven or something at that time you were jogging.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. I just took it like a full-time job. So I went there and I tried to learn as much as I could. And after 3 weeks, your eyes like, you're ready for a fight. I'm like, bro, what do you mean?
3
weeks?
The fuck I mean, what are you talking about? He's like, trust me, the guy's not a good wrestler. You're going to dominate him. I promise you're going to win this fight. I was like, I don't know, man. The guy had 14 fights.
You had none.
So you went straight
0.
into cage fighting. You didn't go to like BJJ or anything like that. You went
No.
straight to-
So nowadays they have amateur fights, so you can get your feet wet and you could go through you're in a cage. You wear they wear shin guards, so it's safer than regular fighting, but yeah, I didn't have any amateur fights. I just went pro right after.
When you got,
I got a quick question. I just want to go back a little bit. So you went straight from your job to fighting, and were you training before you just started training right after you made your decision? I quit this job and I'm gonna go train.
Whoop some ass.
Yeah, I would go back to my college because I was still close to the program, and I would wrestle with those guys a little bit, and I was just like, man, you know, I still felt like I had it.
Yeah.
but you weren't throwing hands in cage
Yeah,
fighting.
yeah. So I was just wrestling, and I was I was a 2-time All-American, so I was like, I was good at wrestling. So that other stuff just.
Is that like letting the floodgates open now that you can punch?
Ooh.
What was
I
it?
don't know, it's a. I mean, it's a different. I wasn't comfortable.
So when you jumped in, what was the first thing? Did you jump into jiu-jitsu first, or did you jump into striking, or did Uriah have you in like?
Oh yeah, I asked Uriah. I was like, "What should I do?" And he's like, "Well, you should take these classes." So I would take the pro class, and then and just wrestle everybody. You know, people were trying to punch me. I just wrestle them, and that's what it was. Everyone hated me because I was the wrestler that just grinded on you and wouldn't let you up. And after that, I would go. There'd be an hour, and I'd go straight to jiu-jitsu. And after that, there'd be an hour, and then I go to stand up, and then right about that time, it'd be about 4 or 5 o'clock, and then I'd jump on the bus and go all the way back home.
So you would train for like 3-4 hours a day?
Like 5 or 6.
5-6 hours a day.
Yeah, 5 or 6 hours a day.
Damn.
But it was something that was fun for me, so it wasn't like it was. I mean, I was actually learning, and it was something that was really intriguing to me. So I wanted to figure it out because you see these guys who are out of shape and super small, and they go against these big guys. Like in the earlier days of the UFC, where you see, you know, Hoist Gracie choke out some 400-pound guy, you know, or just like really, and so that to me, like made it interesting to me. And then I wasn't getting paid, so the only way you get paid as a fighter is by fighting. Yeah. So I'm like, I gotta get the ball rolling. And so Uriah's like, yeah, take this fight, and so I decided to take the fight. I get there, I weigh in, the guy doesn't show up. Yeah, he doesn't show up. So I'm like, yeah.
Just don't show up at all.
It just didn't show up.
Oh, he's scared.
Just didn't. Yeah. So I was like, well, what happens next? And they're just like, oh, don't worry, it's Gladiator Challenge. So they have a bad reputation as Like they'll pull someone from the crowd because they usually have it at Indian Casino. They have it at Indian Casino,
Yeah,
so it's like there's no sanction at all.
Is this WEC we're talking about?
No, this is like
Gladiator.
before
before
that.
WEC.
Kind of like King of the Cage type
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. This is my first fight.
Damn.
So I get there, the dude doesn't show up. I got all my friends and family out there. I don't know, probably like 20, 30 people drove up to, where I don't think it was Lemoore, but it was Porterville. Porterville, it's like in the armpit of California. Like there's
think it's a
nothing
jail
out there.
there.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Do you still want to fight?" I'm like, "Well, I have all these people." And there's like, "Well, there's a guy that is a fighter and he'll fight you. You know, we just gotta pay him. He'll fight you." And I was like, "Well, how much does he weigh?" Like back then, I was concerned about everything. You know, I want to make it. I want to make it fair. I had no idea how anything worked. And there's like, "Yeah, he won't make weight, but he's not too much bigger." And then so I was like,
Weight
right.
makes a big difference, though, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah, for sure. Without a doubt, it does. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Scared. Usually when I had street fights or fights with the buddies and you go to the park and you meet someone, it's just like, there's not enough time. You know, you just get out the car and you start swinging. And that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then you win or you lose and it's over with. And then you bounce. So this, like, the whole day, I'm like, well, I have no idea what's going to happen. Like, what the guy looks like. I don't know what I studied for. What's going to happen. And the night showed up and I went out there and I threw the biggest leg kick I could throw, the hardest leg kick. I missed. So like I'm in the cage just like completely embarrassed, and I just go right back to my wrestling, take him down, and then hit him a couple times and choke him out.
Did you go to like street fight mode? Did you just
I just
wail on this
started
fool?
throwing as hard as I can.
Yeah.
No straight punches, just over the top. It kind of
Hammer fist in there and everything.
everything. And so I came away with the win, and then 6 weeks later I got another fight, and then 6 weeks later I got another fight. I was 4-0 in probably 6 months or so of training. So when I quit my job, I was 4-0. Uriah had sent me to Chicago, so I did the Ultimate Fighter tryout, and I thought I was on the show. They called me, they flew me back out to Vegas. I did a bunch of medicals and different interviews and all this other stuff, and so they're like, yeah, it looks really good. You know, there was 500 people that tried out and they only flew out 20, and I was a part of the 20. And then after that, like, the producers seemed like everything was great. I mean, I even had a party at 43rd. I threw a party.
43rd.
On 43rd. Everyone's just like, the homie made it. We're going to be on TV. Everyone was happy. Like, they, you know, I mean, when your friend makes it or someone makes it, we made it.
Yeah,
you know, we're
that's
going to be there with
right.
you.
Yeah.
So I had a party, and then I never got the phone call. So they were just like, yeah, we will call you Sunday no matter what. I had the party Saturday, and I'm just waiting all morning for the phone call Sunday, just like tripping out. I'm like, man, they're not going to call. I don't
Your
know what's
phone
gonna
disconnected?
happen. No, I mean, I didn't really have money back then. I mean,
Metro.
So you got to remember that I might have had a Metro phone back
Fucking
then.
Metro, dude.
I got Metro.
They tried to call, but it didn't go
Yeah.
through.
It went to somebody else.
My first fight, I only made $500. So it's $250 to show, $250 to win, and then you pay your gym, you pay your managers. So back then, like, I paid my trainers 10%, which is not really anything, and then you pay 40% taxes on it.
Oh shit!
So it's like I didn't really make any kind of money. Like, it was barely enough to give my roommates for rent, and barely enough to make sure I had bus money to get back and forth to the gym till my next fight. So this was big for me. As soon as I got to Vegas, they had cars waiting for me. They had signs up for me. They gave me $400 a per diem for lunch and meals, and I was like, man, this is more than I made in my last 4 fights. And then they didn't. And then they finally called me. It was like 11:50 on that Sunday, and they said, sorry, but Spike, because it was on Spike back then, decided to go in a different direction. So I didn't know if it was because I had some stuff on my background. So I don't know if it was a background check. I don't know what happened or what it was. I always still thought about it.
Saw that you were pulling your penis
Yeah, I'm about
out.
to be like, man, he gonna put his dick out on TV. He gonna put his dick out on TV.
They probably like
With the sense
that'd
of
be
this shit.
that'd be the ratings for him.
Yeah, there you go.
So, okay, so after that, you went back to Uriah's camp and started training.
After
in
that,
March.
I had a fight lined up no matter what. I took the fight It was like whatever. I took the fight, won the fight. I was 5-0 in 7 months.
Damn.
And, yeah.
That's like a fight every month.
Yeah, every 6 weeks.
Damn.
Every 6 weeks. It's 5-0, 5 months, 5 finishes. Hadn't even been out of the first round, maybe. I might have been to the second round, but hadn't go to a decision. They were all finishes. And then Uriah calls me. I'm at the bar. I'm at Pine Cove. I'm at Pine Cove because the homie worked the door, and it was like, it's like a cop bar. And he's like, yeah, I don't know.
Where
it's
that's
probably,
at? Where that's at? So I don't go there.
It's like
27th in
HI by that Chevron or whatever that is over there.
Oh.
What the
Yeah,
dude
it's
used to
As soon as you get off the freeway.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
the
it's
99.
upstairs. Been there for a long time.
Stay away from there, y'all.
Thursdays, I think, is a karaoke night. But back then, it was cool. I liked it. So I was there. He called me, and he was like, hey, man, I got a big opportunity for you. I'm like, what is it? He was scheduled to fight at Arco, defend his belt, and it was a high-profile fight. And he was like, yeah, some guy got hurt. They want to give you the shot. And they want to pull you because this is going to be on TV. This is the big show besides the UFC.
That was his first time at Arco performing?
Uriah's first time
I was
fighting.
there. I was
I was at that
Is
fight
that,
too.
he had the cornrows? Is that when he had the,
Yeah.
came with the cornrows?
Yeah.
That shit was wet. Yeah.
It was wet.
Was that
remember
the
that.
time he
This
broke
was
his
dope.
hand or something?
Yeah. No. That's the
That's the
second
second
time.
one.
Second time he broke his hand. This time he fought Jens Pulver, and it was a sick five round fight. He ended up winning. But he called me on a Monday, and I was still partying. And he was just like,
Were you coming in there drinking and smelling like alcohol too?
and
Ultimate Fighter?
no. Well, I mean, I was never on the show, but I've been on the show 4 times because I went as a coach.
Yeah,
So
but I
I've
mean,
been a
like
part.
coming into the gym at Ultimate Fitness, were you coming in sweating and smelling like alcohol too?
No, I pretty much took it like a real job. Like it was serious. To me.
Oh, okay, at
Like,
that
that's
point.
something that, like for some reason, I've been able to be disciplined when it comes to sports and stuff. Like I'll, I mean, I've been where haven't had any food for 2 days because I was trying to make weight, or haven't really had any water, or it's just all a part of the sport. If you can do a college wrestling season, you can do a grind, you can do anything. It's like one of the hardest things you have to do. You have to maintain weight, you have to train hard, and you compete a lot. It's like Wednesday, Saturday, and Saturday you have 4 matches, 5 matches, depending on how well you do. So it's really tough.
Where's
This
the best place to train at for strike? Because when I was growing up, like, we trained at like Washington Neighborhood Center and Capital Boxing and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
that was my spots. But nowadays, it just seems like there's so many boxing, well, I call them like fit boxing gyms that are just kind of aerobic
Yeah.
boxing type gyms and stuff like that. And you got the Broadway boxings and all these different spots that, and then I feel like a lot of people just go to Ultimate Fitness because of the name of Uriah. They're not going to get the same training, obviously, as you guys do as pro fighters.
Well, it's different. If you want to learn striking, like people ask me all this time, if you want to learn wrestling, don't go to a mixed martial arts gym. Don't go to a UFC gym. Go to a wrestling room.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to learn how to box, go in a smelly old boxing gym with an old coach that's going to tell you there's spit buckets everywhere. If you want to do Muay Thai, you want to go and where there's some Thai people. You got to put yourself in that element and engulf yourself in their traditions and in their habits. And
So is that what Uriah did? Because with you, did he have like? Because I know he had different people like Mr. Tong come in.
Yeah.
And, you trained with Fabio, right? So
Yeah,
is that who
Fabio.
you started your Prado?
pretty much. Yeah.
Is that who you started your jiu-jitsu
That's
with?
a really popular Brazilian.
Oh, yeah, I don't think like the book, dude.
No. Yeah, I don't know, man. Thinking about it, it's crazy. I was just super blessed. I was in there at the right time. Uriah really took care of me, and like that's one thing I could say about him. Like he puts everybody on.
Mm-hmm.
We got guys that come up from overseas and they do really well, and then you're a part of Uriah Faber's camp. Like that's the reason why. One of the main reasons why I got put on.
Mm-hmm. He always seemed like a cool cat. He would come to my music videos and hang out with Too Short and
Yeah.
everybody.
He was hella cool. He was
Yeah,
dope.
no, he's the best guy. He was just like, dude, take the fight. You'll get a 5-fight contract. It's gonna be on TV. They're gonna give you $3,000 to show, $3,000 to win, which doesn't really seem that much if you're training 5 hours a day every day for 6 weeks. It's not really anything. Not even back in 2007. That's anything. So I was like, all right, I'll take the fight. I finished the pitcher of beer I was drinking. Went home.
Of course he did.
Went home, ran 6 miles, and then I made weight. And we get there, and I go to the face-off, and the dude I'm fighting is Donald Cowboy Cerrone. So this is a guy he'll probably be a Hall of Famer. The guy had like 30 fights back then, and I was like, all right. Your eyes like, you're gonna win, because that's the type of dude he is. Like, he's a super positive dude, and he doesn't feel like anything he does is gonna fail, and that's why he's so successful. And that's what I'm starting to learn. Like, you can't really have regrets. If you're gonna do something, you got to go out and just do it, and like it's not gonna fail.
Right.
Because the minute you get that slight doubt is the minute you kind of find your way out of those situations where, maybe there's a little obstacle. Well, I'm just going to come down that hill. I'm not going to go over that hill because, I'm not sure it's going to work. But for him, I learned all that stuff from him. Long story short, I lost the fight in the first round, took the guy down, punched him a couple times. He armbarred me, and I was in Sacramento, my hometown. I made $3,000, and the rest is history. After that, I had 8 fights with the WEC. The UFC bought my contract, and I had 14 with them. So I'm 22-time Zuffa fight bet, which is it's the company that owned the UFC, and they bought it. Since then, they bought it again for $1.4 billion, I think, something crazy.
They bought the WEC.
They bought the UFC bought the WEC, and then IMG, which is a talent agency in LA, bought Zuffa.
How do you feel about the UFC right now? Because I feel like some people were a little bit like feeling like it's going to the WWF with that whole Brock Lesnar thing and the push and the. Do you feel like it's starting to go WWE type?
I was pretty disappointed, but once I had time to let it digest, it's like they say high tides raise all ships.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if they're gonna make millions of dollars on this fight, I mean that's gonna come down somewhere else. It's gonna trickle down, and then everyone's gonna be making money. Like, I'm not a Conor McGregor hater. I mean,
how do you feel about Conor McGregor? Let's talk about that.
I think he's super annoying, but he's a genius, man. I mean, you tell me another guy who would be able to get a fight that's not even in his discipline against the best in the world, hands down.
Mayweather.
The best in the. I mean, if you ask me, Mayweather's is the best. Like, I don't. But what about Ali? What about this? I'm like, no.
Do you think he fucked up by throwing that into that hand truck into the bus where he hurt the fighters and stuff? In the UFC?
I was thinking, like, man, he's probably gonna get sued, but I'm sure a guy like that has insurance for it. He made $100 million on a Mayweather fight.
He just got off on that, didn't he?
I'm sure he's got people that are smarter than that, that would have insurance for situations like that. But at a marketing standpoint, I guarantee he probably made 100,000 followers off of that situation.
Can you get insurance for that? Can I buy insurance if I go fuck somebody up and throw like something to their window?
I think you get specific insurance where they'll cover certain things.
They just
if I pick up like a rock and throw it through somebody's windshield and knock them the fuck out, can I be like, call my insurance company? AAA will take care of this shit for you.
I mean, you pay your health insurance for dental. I mean, what if you just eat candy all the time?
But isn't it like
I don't know, we can't really insure you.
But isn't that like different though, because you're breaking the law, like you're physically assaulting somebody?
I mean, again, I don't really know the details of the case, but I'm guessing that's what happened. And even if he gets sued, I mean, what's he gonna get sued for $2 million? I mean, the shit that he makes on everything else, is I mean, if anything, that was probably one of the best things he could have done. Not one of the best things to do, but
kind of keeps him in the eye.
Because he had no fights. His fights were over with. He has no fights in the UFC. There's no boxing fights. I mean, that kept him in the media. It kept his names relevant. Like, you jump on Instagram and he's on the popular page. Every single video on that whole thing. Like, that's powerful.
So when you see him, you don't want to slap the shit out of him. Not like on
Ultimate
Ultimate Fighter, do you?
We fought. Andre Fili is one of our guys, and we went to Poland. We were in Gdansk, Poland, 3 months ago, and he was running around the cage because our Fili was beating his guy up, and he was just making a scene. Like, the ref had to stop the fight and tell him that he couldn't do it, and then afterwards we're in the back, and then like everything kind of shifted. and he like shook hands because we won the fight, and he was cool. I mean, he was cool.
So you guys are all cool now. How about Uriah and him? Are they cool now? Is it just
There was a scene where he was gonna fight. I mean, it's still on. Probably you could find the video, but he was gonna fight Chad Mendez. His opponent got hurt, and I was on the boat drinking with Chad Mendez. We were fishing, and Dana White called him. He's like, "We'll give you $500,000 to fight this kid on a week notice," and he got $100,000 bonus. So I'm not sure if I could be talking about the numbers, but
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Feel free.
I think I want to fight.
but he made $500,000. He wasn't in shape, and I mean he lost the fight, but he still like $500,000.
just took the fight?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's a lot. That's a
I'll
lot
take
of
that
money.
fight. I get beat up for $500,000.
Yeah,
I
and
saw
he was
you-
winning the fight until he gassed out. I mean, he was winning the fight. So
I saw you was training at one point with Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
Doing some stuff. How's
Yeah.
Joe? Is he actually like? Is he just a commentator that knows a little
Well,
bit,
I
or
mean,
does he really know?
no, he knows his shit. I mean, he's juiced out of his mind.
Yeah.
I mean, you can touch him, and he's just like. I think he even talks about it. Like it's not
Yeah.
anything, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Because he's not fighting, so it don't really matter.
yeah, who cares? There's so many people that got money that are doing that, going to those wellness clinics in LA, getting testosterone, getting GH to prolong their life. Like, if you got money, go for it. You're not competing against someone else. I mean, why wouldn't you want to feel better every day, feel young?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I plan maybe to do something like that in my 40s. I mean,
So
why
now
not?
that you're not fighting anymore in the UFC, you're coaching now,
Yeah.
and you got a fighter coming up, right? Cody No Love, right? Another team alpha male,
Cody No Love Garbrandt. Yep.
and he's fighting T.J. Dillashaw
Uh-oh.
on August 4th.
Yeah, and TJ Dillashaw was
Part of
on
the
the
team.
on Team Alpha Male, one of the originators on the team, and he left for money. He went to Denver and worked with one of our old coaches. They both left, and there's just been a ton of animosity and just drama behind him leaving. And then now Cody got the fight with him. Cody ended up beating Dominic Cruz, who was, I mean, hands down one of the best bantamweights on the planet ever. He was so dominant. He only lost one time, and that was to Uriah. But then he fought Uriah in the UFC and, beat Uriah. Cody went out there and made him look like an amateur. Probably one of the best performances I've seen in the lightweight division, in the lighter weight divisions, like to date. It was beautiful. He was
And this is
dancing.
August 4th coming up at Staples Center.
This was before. This is when he won the belt. So then he won the belt from Dominic Cruz. He was the champ. They give T.J. Dillashaw, our former teammate, a chance at it. They fought at the Garden in New York last November. Cody dropped him. There was 10 seconds left in the fight. He was close to putting him away. The bell rang. He gets up back up to a seat. He gets up back to his feet, stumbling all over to the corner. Somehow gets his wits back behind him, and then ends up knocking Cody, TKOing Cody in the second round. So there's a ton of animosity. We did the Ultimate Fighter, Dillashaw versus Garbrandt. So for 6 weeks, it was basically us trying to hold TJ back. I mean, try to hold Cody back from beating up TJ. And they even on the show they show it. They're like the whole show was about them two fighting. They really dislike each other. They hate each other. So then he took the belt from him. So it's been a long time since November. He took the belt from him. So he's been, humbled for this whole time.
So being that you've trained with both of these guys at this fight coming up on August 4th, who do you think is gonna? You got your guy, obviously, Cody, right?
I got my guy. Yeah.
You think it's gonna be a breeze with TJ, or do you think it's gonna be a tough fight again?
No, I mean I know TJ. I know he's gonna be well prepared, and he's as good as he is for a reason. And am I afraid of that? No. I mean it just forces the coaches to step their game up to make sure that your fighter is prepared when he steps in that cage. I mean, the rest is done. I mean we're practically done. I fly out Sunday, and we go down to the fight. I mean, all the hard work's done. It's been over accumulation of 10 weeks, 12 weeks since we've known about the fight. So, I feel like the package that we're going to put in that cage on August 4th is the one that's going to win. And I'm confident going into the fight.
We might have to get Cody on the show after the fight.
Yeah, bring the belt.
Bring
Bring
With
the
the
belt.
belt. With the belt.
Yeah.
That'd
no,
be
for
cool.
sure.
You got some questions for him?
Yeah, man.
Demetrius?
Specialist is a speed round. 8 quick questions about nothing.
8?
Yeah, real quick. They fast.
You got this.
Got this. Okay, I'm gonna start off because we know that I see that you do what's it called? You're into the fitness And what-
Pilates.
Pilates. I couldn't think of that
Yes,
word. I was
sir.
gonna say Pilates.
Yeah.
Pilates. What?
I'm gonna fuck that all up.
So that's
You got
what
a
you
bit.
do.
You got that business, P2O Pilates, right?
2 years before I decided to retire, I opened a hot Pilates studio, and it was basically, Uriah is just entrepreneur. He's always, the only way to start a business is to start a fucking business.
Just do
You know what
it.
I'm saying? Like, you want to be an entrepreneur, start selling something. I mean, that's plain it.
Start a show.
Start a show. Do
These
something
shirts
that's going
on.
to put you in. I mean, don't think about ideas all the time. I have buddies that have great ideas, but they never come to fruition because, he had the Airbnb idea, I mean, years ago. And then now it's like, well, now these guys are paid
Right.
billionaires, and like, you just gotta take action. So I have a business partner. We opened the first and only hot Pilates studio in Sacramento 5 years ago, and we just had our 5-year anniversary. We've been the #1 studio in Sacramento for 5 years, and I got 2 studios now. One on P and 20th. It's P2O Hot Pilates and Fitness, and then I have one at the Exposition area, right by REI.
Can you come check that out, man? Can I come check it out?
Yeah, I mean,
can we come check it out?
guys really dropped the ball at that place because it's 91% female.
That's what I'm talking about.
My sister goes to the one, I think the P2O one.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
nice.
mean, women for the most part pay their bills on time. So,
Oh,
so having 91% female, there's no like, hey, your card didn't go through, or it's usually like always taken care of. But the community I was able to establish there reminds me of the camaraderie that I had in some of the teams growing up as a kid, and it's hard to duplicate that. And I was able to duplicate that downtown and midtown because, I mean, I love my city. I love Sacramento, and Sacramento has a great community. There's assholes everywhere you go, but for the most part, I mean, there's no races in my studio. It's just all people just trying to get a good workout in and have a good time and be motivated while doing it. So it's something that is really special to me because, people are getting better every day. Like, yeah, it gives me money now that I'm not fighting. I get paid from the team and I get a cut of some of the fighters' purses, but like, I wouldn't be able to live right now, without that studio. And it's something that's bettering a ton of people. And every other day or every week, I get someone telling me like, "Oh my God, your studio's awesome! It changed my life completely." And when I hear that, I mean, that's worth more than, winning 10 fights. That stuff. It's like, it's positive. I'm making a difference, and therefore that's more important than anything else.
Shout out to Uriah for putting people on businesses,
For
building
sure.
businesses.
Yeah, I mean, we got a bunch of kids on the team that got all kinds of things. I mean, they got clothing lines. They got, my boy Freddie's working with some CBD oils for tattoo creams. Just a bunch of different
They
things.
need a podcast.
Chad Mendez started a company called Fins and Feathers where he takes people out on hunting trips with different athletes. So it's,
Nice.
the team is doing well. It's all, thanks to Uriah. I mean,
Dope.
I can't say enough about good things about that guy.
Yeah. So we appreciate you coming on. And did
Okay.
you have some more questions?
Yeah, I got.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
just it. I just want to give a shout out on that because I didn't know how to say that word. Pilates.
Pilates.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So working out, swimming or bicycling?
For what?
Well, I mean,
What's
what
your
would
preference?
would you?
Well,
What's gonna shred you up
I
faster?
think swimming is probably one of the hardest things to do, and you'll probably lose the most weight, burn the most calories swimming. But I mean, I like cycling too. I think swimming is probably the harder one. I think riding down the American River is probably more enjoyable. So if I had to do something, now that I'm not training for anything, I'd probably just cycle instead of swim.
Okay. Tom and Jerry. What would you rather watch, Tom and Jerry or Roadrunner and Coyote?
Those are old school cartoons.
Some good ass ones though, right?
Probably Tom and Jerry.
He said it like with a thought.
Yeah, probably Tom and Jerry. Yeah.
All right. Would you rather, if you had to, would you drink 30 Taco Bell hot sauce packets, or barefooted run 10 yards over some fucking Legos? Did I get him? I think I got him.
I'll probably just drink the hot sauce.
You wouldn't do the Legos?
No.
I think I'd take the cuts on the feet over the stomach ache all night.
But it's not really that hot though.
Yeah, it's Taco Bell hot sauce.
It's
It's like
Taco Bell.
tomato-y.
I said 30 the packets though. You know, just,
I take them all at once.
It's
Yeah.
it's like a whole bottle of hot sauce.
You go
Only
sit
that
on the
bad.
toilet all night after that.
All right, Fortnite or Bond 007.
I'll probably go Fortnite.
You play Fortnite?
I don't.
Had
I
a
try.
big-
I'm not. I'm too old for the young video games. Like all those RPG or
So the old Bond
the
007.
going to the left and to the right. Like I wasn't good back at Bond on Nintendo 64. So I'm not. Now you're building shields and you're running, you're dancing and floating around. Like I
Okay,
can't do it.
who would win in the fight? Oh, go ahead.
I mean, NBA 2K. Like
That's my dog.
yeah,
Okay,
I can play
we're gonna
that.
Have to get it.
Like,
We're gonna
that's
catch
fun.
my
Like
fade.
not even Madden because there's too many playbooks. Like
The playbooks never changed.
Too
though.
much to think about.
You ever
just
play
give me
UFC? You play UFC?
Yeah.
yeah, I played that. I mean, it's just.
Who's your fighter though? When you
Yeah,
pick,
come on. Yeah. Who's your fighter? Yeah.
you pick Uriah.
No, I really like GSP.
Oh, okay.
One of my
Okay, yeah.
favorite fighters. And
Yeah, he's a good fighter.
You know, he's been putting it down. He never got popped for any PEDs, and some of the other guys like Anderson Silva is supposed to be the GOAT. John Jones is supposed to be the GOAT, but if you get
Yeah.
popped, like
Don't count.
it don't
Right.
really count. It don't really count.
All right, what's worse? Kiss a stranger or use a public bathroom with no other plastic thing on the toilet seat?
D.
What? I'm
Kiss a stranger like kiss a stranger
Kiss
or
a
just
stranger. not kiss a stranger.
like with your tongue in? Just like what are you
yeah,
talking
fuck
about?
it,
Like
yeah,
a dude or a girl?
No, it got to be a female. I ain't gonna
A
play
female.
Female,
It's just she look good or not?
It's just a stranger. I mean, we could just walk outside, the first female you see. And we downtown, so you know what the
Yeah.
fuck you'll find.
I'll probably
Be a meth addict. No teeth.
I'll probably just use it.
Use
Just
the-
use it
and don't
the
put the
bathroom.
plastic down.
I'll just probably hover.
I hover. He say hover.
Hover. They could do in Japan.
Legs.
I hate to say this, but there's gonna be splashback.
If I had those 30 packets of Taco Bell sauce, yeah.
All right, I got two last ones. Who would win in the fight, Dana White or Brandon Schwab? don't know if you
I
heard
think
it.
Brendan Schwab.
You heard
yeah,
about, you heard
they
about
had
that?
the
Get
beef.
that? You heard about
Yeah,
that?
the Eskimo brothers.
Eskimo Brothers.
Yeah, they had that
Somebody
beef.
had to tell me what that was today. I didn't know what Eskimo Brothers was.
Yeah.
Well, you brought it to the show tonight, didn't you?
I did because you're always getting on me. But last one. What is worse, getting KO'd or choked out?
I think getting KO'd is worse because you don't really suffer too much when you get choked out. You just go out, you wake up, and you see some like lights. But when you get KO'd, you never know. Like I've been KO'd a couple times in my career, and you just don't know in the future. Like you see some of the boxers, they don't look good. The concussions, like that's something that's really serious in the sport that people don't really trip about. Like I just want to see people get knocked out, but there's a price that each of these fighters have to pay. Like it's not some guys go home and they can't listen to music loud. They can't have can't have bright lights because they get dizzy. They can't stand up quick. Like that's real shit. Like it's not an easy sport.
Is the money worth it? Does it outweigh the risk you take as a fighter?
I actually don't know because I haven't really experienced any of that stuff. The long term effects. You know, I guess you have to ask me in like 30 years.
What do you tell your friend that got knocked the fuck out in a fight, and you be like, "Hey man, you almost had him." Or
It's a part of it. You know, there's
like,
not
don't
one.
trip.
There's not one undefeated fighter right now, championship in the UFC. Not one undefeated, none. You know, so even the guys that were undefeated, eventually lose. I mean, there's so many different variables where you can lose, and they're little gloves, man. The little gloves,
Yeah,
like
they
it don't take that much to. People fall down all the time on those little gloves. Like in street fights, people get knocked out all the time, all the time. Like it's not like boxing. They got 8 ounces. And the UFC has 4 ounces, but it's basically enough pad to cover your knuckles to not make it look barbaric. That's the reason why.
Word.
All right. Well, we're out of time. Our producers are saying we got to wrap it up, but we
No,
appreciate.
I just got my buzz on.
I know.
I'm ready.
This ain't gonna be the last call that I call you. We're gonna call Danny last call Castillo to be on the show again at some point here, so we can drink some more and get the buzz on. Right?
One time.
Oh, mine's empty.
Hey, you're empty. See, you're drinking air. You're drinking air right now.
I'm drinking. Yeah.
You got the concussion. So we appreciate you coming on, Danny.
Of course, I had a great time, man. We go back a long time, and
Yeah.
I'm happy to see all the things you're doing.
I
And
appreciate that,
all the
man.
hard work is definitely paying off, and it's good to see that.
It's a team effort,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I don't
It's
know,
like team alpha male.
Probably like 97.
Mhm.
Is how long as I
That's
know
how long.
you.
Yeah, it's been a long
Probably
time. Way
97.
before he was fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We heard you was knocking people out in high school.
Well, I mean, way before I was getting paid to fight.
Right.
People always ask me that too. I was like, I ain't fighting for free. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna
Right,
break a
right,
hand or
right now.
something. Like,
Uh-huh.
let all that go. I'm cool. I'm going to the car.
All right. Well, we'll definitely have you back on again. Maybe we can get Uriah and you on at the same
Yeah,
time.
that'd be cool. I'll talk to him.
Cool.
Or after Cody wins.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
you and
Cody
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Make
Maybe.
sure you guys tune in. It's there's more to the fight than just a fight. You know, so
Yeah,
it's a
there's-
ton of beef.
There's
And
beef.
it's like
So it's
it's
real.
like
a
almost
grudge there.
They hate each other. They hate each other.
So it's gonna be a real fight.
Yeah, yeah.
They're gonna come in like swinging, ready.
Hopefully we stay in control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we stay. In
Not let the anger take over.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we out of here, you guys.
Yes.
Give it up
See you
one
on
more
Wednesday.
time. Next time.